Hi, everybody. We are here with Dave. Dave will talk us for the new solution for our portfolio, AIRVINE. So thank you very much, Dave, to be here with us for this presentation. So I give you the micro. That's all for me.
Thank you very much. My name is David Sumi, and I am responsible for marketing at AIRVINE. AIRVINE is a new company that we're going to introduce you to, and we're also going to introduce you to our latest product that we're introducing to the market, which, as the title slide says, really is the next step in evolution of indoor wireless. I'm going to say hello through the camera, then I'm going to turn the camera off so we can focus on the slides and the content. If you have questions, please hold them until the presentation is over. We will try to address the questions at that time. Any questions we don't get to, we will send you a written response. I believe this webinar is also being recorded, so I'm sure that will be shared with the attendees shortly after we're done. So with that, let me introduce you to AIRVINE and our product, the Wave Tunnel. So AIRVINE consists of industry veterans. I won't say that we're all gray-haired, but there's a lot of us like myself that have been in wireless for quite some time. We're all very experienced, from the engineering team to the marketing team to the executive staff, many years of experience in the wireless industry. We have come together to develop our Wave Tunnel system, and our Wave Tunnel, that is one of the units that you're looking at on the screen. Our Wave Tunnel is a wireless indoor backbone system, which is something nobody has ever done before. The system is composed of the Wave Tunnel hardware that you see on the screen, as well as our Vine Suite software modules, and we'll cover both of these in a little more detail later on. Just a few key numbers about AIRVINE. We were founded 5 years ago. We have 4 patents, and I'll share those patents with you shortly. We deployed 30 pilot units over the past year, and we are actively moving out units as we speak of our general availability system, which was released in February of this year. So the patents that we have, and patents are important, but they really, what they do in addition to providing you some protection, is they also show people where we're focused and what we're doing with our technology. The first patent is fairly straightforward, a system featuring adjustable support. Not necessarily the most exciting patent, but it has been awarded. The next one, millimeter wave communication through obstructions, that's a key component of what we do, and that is something that nobody in the world has ever done before, and we'll explain how we're doing it and what that means. We have a patent on high-speed wireless data networks, and this is the idea of using a point-to-point system or a point-to-point-to-point system indoors for data backhaul. And then our fourth patent is on the high-speed wireless multipath for a data network. So these patents form the core of the Wave Tunnel and the Vine Suite technology. Why AIRVINE? Why did the company get founded? What are we trying to do? Well, we are the very first 60 gigahertz non-line of sight wireless backbone, and we'll get into more detail about what we're doing and how we do that. But everybody has always treated 60 gigahertz as strict line of sight. If you're familiar with some of the outdoor applications of 60 gigahertz, they absolutely require line of sight. But for us, we have managed to come up with a system that can actually go through indoor walls. This problem we're trying to solve is today's infrastructure. If you're today's enterprise infrastructure, whether you're in hotels or large venues or you're in an office building, most likely that cabling is Cat5 or Cat5e. And that cabling was deployed maybe 5, 10, 20 years ago, and it's giving you a gigabit. And at the time, a gigabit was a lot. But if you look at all the demands and the new access points and the new security cameras, all of these things that are running on an enterprise network these days, the Cat5 is just not enough anymore. It needs to be updated. When you're doing these upgrades, and if you're doing it with fiber or cable, there's a long time, there's construction, your tenants, whether they be office tenants or apartment building tenants, are going to be, they have to live through the construction while you're doing all of that. So that's something that property owners really try to avoid. The other thing that we wanted to do with our system was to make sure it was adaptable, meaning it's very easy to install and almost anybody can use it. But we also understand that security for the enterprise network is extremely important. So we built in 3 layers of security into our system. So AIRVINE was founded to try and solve this problem, the old cabling running out of steam, and to come up with a newer, faster, better way of deploying, increasing your capacity in your network. So the solution that we came up with is the Wave Tunnel, powered by VineSuite. Multi-gigabit wireless backbone, and I'll show some topologies a little bit later on how you might deploy this. We're a low latency system. We're able to support high capacity devices such as Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 7, 5G new radio femtocells or small cells for the indoor are often being deployed these days, and they need backhaul. 4K video security is another application. But basically, any device or any use case that you have for your cabled infrastructure today, the Wave Tunnel can also support. The ability to penetrate indoor walls and steer around corners is something that nobody's been able to do before. With a single node installation in less than an hour, it takes just a screwdriver and a smartphone, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as well. And we also provide virtual and physical network segmentation for those who are concerned about IoT traffic on their mixing IoT traffic with their information technology. Maybe you have an apartment building and you have user data, or your tenants are running on access points that are backhauled by a wave tunnel. But you might want to use that same network to control locks and security cameras, and you don't want that traffic to be mixed. The wave tunnel system gives you the ability to segment that IT and OT traffic. Little to no construction means no disruptions to business, which means happy tenants, happy clients, and all of this is powered by our VineSuite software set. So just a couple of the use cases. A technology like this is usable anywhere you see an Ethernet cable, but we are focusing on 4 particular markets these days that we see the most value for what we offer. There's the multifamily market, where we're talking about apartment buildings. You know, not everybody lives in a single family home, which seems to be most of the focus in the US for the rural counties and how to give them internet access. But there's also a tremendous pent-up demand in the apartment complexes, which, as I was saying, were built many years ago, and the infrastructure is old, and maybe you're getting a gigabit if you're using Ethernet, and if you're using some in-building DSL technology, you're getting even less. The hospitality industry also is, you know, people are demanding that they have good internet access. They want to be able to use their phone to unlock their room. When they get in their room, they may have as many as 4 or 5 devices connecting to that network, getting internet access. And all of this has to be supported seamlessly for the guests so that they have a very clean and seamless experience. We've also seen traction in the industrial and manufacturing markets. In the industrial and the factories, there's quite a bit of modernization going on in what they call Industry 4.0. There's robotics, there's 3D printing. There are a number of applications on the factory floor that require high-speed connectivity. But if you're trying to run an Ethernet cable in a factory, that can be very difficult, as it's hard to find a safe place to run the cable that it won't get damaged. If you're in a warehouse, 100,000 square feet of a warehouse, you could certainly use Ethernet cable for that, but you're going to be running miles and miles of Ethernet cable versus using the wave tunnel system. And finally, the 4th market that we're focusing on, again, the product can be used almost anywhere, but these are our key focuses: large private public venues. So an arena, a train station, a museum. They all use IoT devices, they all use security cameras, they all have point of sale booths where people can buy goods and services. And these locations of these devices are often moved from event to event. We just supported a conference in the UK this week. Wi-Fi Now had an event. They wanted to provide ubiquitous Wi-Fi access to everybody in the event. And rather than run cables to connect up all the access points they deployed, they used wave tunnels to connect all the access points throughout the event. And I'm pleased to say that that was a very big success for us and for Wi-Fi now. So some of the applications for the multifamily: package early delivery, security access, smart homes, appliances. The washing machine can be connected. All of these devices can be connected, and you can see in the hospitality and in the industrial and in the large public venues, all the kinds of use cases and devices, and they all need connectivity, and that's what the wave tunnel provides. So your question is going to be, well, that's great, Dave. You've got this wave tunnel stuff, but I like cable. I'm used to using fiber and cable, or I like Wi-Fi mesh. So how do you compare? How does your wave tunnel compare to these other options that I know about, that I'm familiar with? Well, let's look at this a little bit here. If you're going to look at performance and you want to see multi-gigabit performance, obviously fiber and cable, you can go to Cat 6A and get 10 gigabits over 100 meters. Fiber can do even more. So that's great. Wi-Fi mesh, not so good. If you're trying to deploy coverage or use Wi-Fi mesh as a backbone, every hop you do in a Wi-Fi mesh network cuts the capacity by 50%. So if you had 3 access points in a row doing this mesh topology to do your backbone, you would end up with 1/2 the capacity. If you added a 4th access point, you'd be 1/4 the capacity. That's not really a sustainable approach. With wave tunnel, we have a multi-gigabit capacity right now today. From a security perspective, cable and fiber, it's really difficult for people to hack cable and fiber. Wi-Fi mesh, a little bit less, not as secure. It will mix both your IT traffic and your OT traffic. You could be doing Wi-Fi mesh as a backbone while people are also accessing it. And with the wave tunnel, we have secure triple layer security. From a reliability perspective, again, cable and fiber, once you lay that out there and you connect it and it's working, it's very reliable. It will last for years. Wi-Fi, not so much. Wi-Fi has interference issues, as we know. The 5 gigahertz band is pretty congested. The 6 gigahertz band that everybody's very excited about has some fairly strict rules in terms of priority of users on that. So it may work now, it might not work tomorrow. But the wave tunnel, because we're a very narrow beam point-to-point protocol, we're very reliable. It's almost impossible to interfere with the wave tunnel wireless transmission. Well, let's look at the cost a little bit now. This is where, excuse me, cable and fiber start to have a few issues. They're expensive. And it may not just be the cost of the cable or the cost of the fiber, but it's the hours that you have to spend installing it and running it. And maybe you need to lay new conduit. And there's all of that time, excuse me, that translates to labor costs. Wi-Fi mesh, pretty affordable, pretty affordable. There's a lot of them out there, excuse me, and they're not too bad. The wave tunnel, also affordable. When you get a project and we'll work with you, we'll be able to show you a cost comparison between how this might be done with the wireless solution, and we'll also share with you how this might be done with our solution. When we look at the time to deploy cable and fiber, there's no question it's going to take you some time. The wireless approach, the mesh, and the wave tunnel are also able to be done in days, if not hours. When you look at the impact to existing tenants, whether they're office people or residents in an MDU apartment building, it's going to be so disruptive. It's going to be inconvenient for them as you're doing this deployment. So those are a little bit of a comparison. What I want to do now is take you a little bit deeper inside the product itself and then show you a couple of deployment topologies. So again, let's look at what the system is. 60 gigahertz. Well, that in the US and I believe in Mexico as well, that 60 gigahertz band is actually 57 to 71 gigahertz, giving us 14 gigahertz of spectrum to play in. We use 2 gigahertz channels, so we have 6 channels to choose from when deploying the wave tunnel system. Again, we are the only non-line of sight 60 gigahertz product on the market that goes through walls and steers around corners. I'll show you how simple to install and deploy the system is in a few slides later on, and you'll be amazed at how fast you can configure and how little skill level it takes. We don't need an RF expert to install the wave tunnel. You only need somebody that knows how to use a screwdriver and punch a few buttons on a smartphone. This system is highly secure with 3 layers of security from physical VLAN to VLAN and encrypted over-the-air communications. And as you can see in the picture, we have 4 PoE ports so that we can configure from 0 to 30 watts per port, and that's programmable. So if you have a Wi-Fi access point in one port and it needs 10 watts, you can do that. If you want to plug in a pan tilt zoom IP camera into another port that might require 20 or 25 watts, we can support that. So the system is designed to be very flexible. We can do both what we call our spur and ring configurations, and all of this is powered by the VineSuite software. So what is VineSuite? Let's take a little bit of a look at what VineSuite actually is. VineSuite is a collection of 4 different software modules that we have. At the very core is VineOS, and I'll dig into that a little bit more in the next slide. But we have AIRVINE Mobile, which is a smartphone app you can download from the Apple Store or the Google Store. You use that app to configure, monitor, maintain a network. We also have our Vine Manager user interface, which is a web-based GUI. We've done a lot of work between Vine Manager and AIRVINE Mobile to try and make sure that the user interfaces are as similar as possible. And to a large degree, they are the same. So if you know how to use the AIRVINE Mobile app, using Vine Manager will be very straightforward. And VineIQ is meant to be a real-time monitor of the network. This is something that we'll be releasing later in the year, but it's an intelligent agent that monitors the network in real time. It's monitoring RF performance, it's monitoring packet performance, it's monitoring all elements that we can measure of the network performance. And if we need to change a frequency channel, if we need to steer a beam a few degrees in a different direction, or if we need to, change our packet resend rate, all of this will be accomplished through VineIQ, and it will do it automatically. So that's something we'll be releasing at the end of the year. VineOS, just to go a little bit deeper, what we have with the VineOS is a custom MAC layer protocol designed from the ground up to support point-to-point indoor wireless backbones. The system, you have a node, a wave tunnel node, and if you have them, they will automatically connect. You don't have to do anything. Once you configure them, they will search each other out. They will beam steer plus or minus 45 degrees to find the next node, and it will automatically connect. We've also integrated VLAN protocols, substantial VLAN support inside the wave tunnel system. So the GUI, very intuitive GUI. If you're familiar with wireless systems and you're used to the kind of the reports that you get, this is going to be very familiar to you. We have gauges that can give you signal strength, signal to noise, throughput. We have on the left showing a ring topology, so it will show you how the network is configured. There's a dashboard, and this is looking at a smartphone dashboard to see what's going on, how does everything look, and all of this, again, if you're familiar with wireless equipment, this will be very intuitive for you. We understand that security is always an issue and always a concern, and especially in wireless, people are always worried that somebody's going to come along and sniff your signal and get your data. That's not going to happen with a wave tunnel system, partly because we have such narrow beams going very tightly point to point, but also because we have over-the-air encryption. We have VLAN and physical segmentation. A wave tunnel network, if you'd like to deploy it, could be only IoT. You could have all the IoT devices on the wave tunnel network and leave your informational technology, the sensitive data that you don't want mixed with IoT, could be on the cabled network. The management interfaces are all secure interfaces, HTTPS, SSH, and SSL. These are all very secure, and we feel from top to bottom, customers will feel comfortable with the wave tunnel system. So let's look at what it takes. I've talked about how this is a very, very simple system. So here we go. There's a unit mounted to a ceiling. You screw the bracket into the ceiling, and we have these brackets that are designed to hang from false ceilings. You snap the unit onto that bracket, you plug it in, configure it, and you're done. That's it. So what is the configuration, the setup? Well, we start with you on the app on your phone. You'll create a network and you'll give it a name. The next thing you'll do is you'll label the wave tunnel that you're configuring. You'll call it, you'll give it a name that it's node number 1 on network number 1, whatever you choose. You'll confirm that this is the network and the name for the device that you want, and you're done. There's no frequency channel selection. There's no aiming of the unit. There's none of that. This is all it takes to install a wave tunnel and have it up and running. Of course, if you want to do your VLAN configurations and more sophisticated device configurations, those will take a little bit longer. But in terms of getting connectivity, this can be done literally in minutes. So when we talk about the wave tunnel deployments, the first topology I want to share with you is what we call the spur. It's a point-to-point-to-point-to-point topology. So we start with a root node, which is connected to your backbone switch, which goes off to the WAN or the internet. You install your next wave tunnel, node 1, and it automatically connects with the root node. You can plug in your Wi-Fi access point here. It can be PoE powered from the wave tunnel. You can now establish another wave tunnel node, the second node, and it can have an IP camera or an IP camera and an access point. And you can keep doing this as many in a row as you want. The only limitation will be your applications, as each hop here is about 2 milliseconds of latency. So round trip latency from the root node to the node 2 would be 8 milliseconds. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. The other topology that we support is ring. And what we've done with the ring topology, and this is inside the Vine OS, is we've made it resilient. So if there's a break in the communications of the ring, the system will automatically route the traffic in the other direction to make sure it gets through. So you have dual counter-rotating rings for resilience. It's always looking for the best, fastest path. We have a lot of technology in there to prevent loops. And this ring topology is just as easy to install as the spur topology. Let's look at how we steer around corners. So this is a sample floor plan of a hotel. You can see the wave tunnel unit at the top has 4 access points by the blue line connected into it. Its radio is beaming out the front end, which is the bottom part of that top box. And it comes into the box, the wave tunnel in the corner at a 45-degree angle. And it also goes out of that wave tunnel in the bottom left at a 45-degree angle to go to the next one. And this is how we can steer around 90-degree corners. Again, something that no other wireless 60 gigahertz system can do. So I've done a lot of talking today. I'm going to summarize just real briefly for you what we want you to remember and take away, and then we'll open it up to questions. But in summary, local area networks have always been cable. You've never had an option to do indoor backbone. You've always had to use cable or fiber. Not anymore. New access points and applications that are coming out are outstripping installed cable that was done maybe 20 years ago. There's a tremendous amount of Cat5 out there that's giving you 1 gigabit, maybe, if it's in good shape. The wave tunnel system can augment and increase your capacity on that network fast and simple. Powered by Vine Suite, we offer the performance of wire wirelessly with physical and virtual security. Remember how simple the system is to configure, how fast it is to deploy, and how easy it is to manage. In Q4 of this year, when we release our Vine IQ, excuse me, you'll have an automated agent that will be monitoring your network and making sure it's always working as best as it can. And finally, the wave tunnel with its groundbreaking 60 gigahertz non-line of sight beam steering performance technology goes through walls, around corners, with multi-gigabit performance, providing connectivity wherever you need it, not just where the cable happens to be. So what I'd like to leave us with, if this is something that you think your customers or you have projects or you're interested in, please contact Sama, please contact AIRVINE, and we'll be happy to work with you to discuss the viability and is wave tunnel the right solution for you.